So I've been interviewing people across the socioeconomic strata, so everything from baristas and bartenders to CFOs of very large companies to solicitors. The point of comparison is I did a similar study in the United States a year and a half ago through the Pew Charitable Trust. I interviewed 100 people about immigration in my city of Philadelphia. I'm pretty much doing a comparative study here. So a lot of parallels are coming up. It seems that most people that I've talked to, again, I don't want to speak too much about my population because I'm only 30 people in, they seem to get it. And what they get is that, they're not against immigration per se. There are other issues with Brexit, I think, that have to do with sovereignty. I think that there's a real pushback against what they see are London elites controlling the world. I think it's very similar in the United States with New York. But the people that I've interviewed so far fully understand that the role that immigrants have played in basically growing the UK economy. They're all saying the same thing. Not all, but most are saying that, honestly, we can't get people to do these jobs. People aren't going to work at the fast food restaurants. They're not going to be the ones turning the beds at hospitals. They're not going to be the ones cleaning toilets at hotels. So the people that seem to be most honest are kind of like have a bifurcated view of it, that it's really immigrants aren't taking these jobs because these are jobs that Brits won't do. And then there are some folks saying, and the Brits don't want to do them because they become dependent on benefits. Now, I don't know the extent that that's true, but this is a narrative that keeps emerging in my interviews. So there's a concern about benefits, who's getting them and who's using them. I don't think that, at least from the people I've talked to, they believe that immigrants are exploiting it. But in fact, someone said you need to watch Benefit Street to me to get a sense of, and I did. It's clearly, poverty porn. I mean, it's really sensationalism. But I think there's the same kind of narrative that's in the United States and here, and that is that immigrants are basically taking benefits. And my understanding in the UK, everything I've researched said, it's really not true. They're not taking anything more than anyone else is. And often they don't realize that they can use benefits. A similar thing with crime. I'm not saying that new populations basically are the source of crime. So I think there's a lot of parallels here. I just don't think that the language has been as vicious, I think, as the United States has been, and that's really because of Donald Trump, quite honestly. That just the things that he has said about immigrant groups, that we should have a religious litmus test for Muslims, that Latinos are rapists, this is just beyond the pale of civility. So I know that there are many things said during Brexit, I think, that were ugly, but I don't think they rose to the level of viciousness in the United States. I do think they're on the same issues, and I think part of that is a working class, a lower middle class, a blue collar class of folks that believe they have been left out of the growth of each of our countries. And they see, I don't care if it's Washington or New York or if it's London, basically all the perks of globalization have gone to a very small part of the population. And that there are people in rural parts of the United States, there are parts of the Midlands, where people feel that they have been left out of the process. They have no voice in the process. And these elites are controlling everything. So I think that there's that similar anxiety about anti-government, anti-elite, anti-intellectual. People don't want to listen. Who was the guy here who said, I'm tired of hearing experts? It's just a rejection. And I think that they're exactly parallel in the United States and in the UK. That there's a sizable part of the population, overwhelmingly white, disproportionately male, that believes that their voice has been basically drowned out by either the Washington or London elites. And so what we're getting, I think, in many ways are protest votes. And certainly Brexit for a lot of people was a protest vote. I think the United States is a little different because I think that there's deeply embedded racial issues that are in play in the United States. A lot of people hate Hillary Clinton, and they hate an extension of a Barack Obama presidency. A lot of people don't believe he's a legitimate president, and the whole birther campaign, quite honestly, was to say that you're not an American, and the subtext there was that black people can never be real Americans. Very ugly and a very racist old narrative in the United States.